What up, YouTube? This is Steven Talbert. So this is TalbyReacts. So every Tuesday, pretty much talk about games. Every Thursday, I kind of do recommendations. So this is pretty much October right now, and so this is getting toward kind of the end of the year. So I kind of really wanted to reflect kind of back throughout the year and kind of talk about game of the years. And so, what is a game of the year? I was thinking about it, and I've been playing a lot of different games. Actually, I probably played the most amount of games that I've done in quite a while. And so I played a lot. I played a lot of indies. I played a lot of AAA titles. And so I really wanted to be fair to both AAA titles and indies. And so I made pretty much two categories. And so I have an indie category and a AAA category. And so the first category is my indie category, or games that just are not big enough to be a AAA game. Like games that are not just 20 to 40 hours. You don't normally pay $60 for. A lot of these games you find on PS Plus. Recently, I've just had a really good appreciation of them, and I've played quite a bit of them. And so I wanted to kind of tell you about three games, possibly that came out pretty much this year, I believe. I think all three of them came out this year. If not, they were pretty close. And so these games, there's a couple other games I'll probably give honorable mentions, but they kind of have been, they've been out quite a while. But I kind of played them for the first time. So my first three games, my number one game that I kind of will recommend, that if you want something that's not a $60 game, that's a pretty short type of game, but that's really, really fun. My favorite game is the game called Helldivers. Helldivers is pretty much a real interesting concept. I think it has one of the most interesting contents I've seen in quite a while. It's basically a top-down type of shooter, and so you're pretty much, you can either be by yourself or on a squad. You can do online, you can call people, and you're fighting these different alien nations. And so I think there's like, when you start off in Helldivers, there's like three different groups, and you are pretty much trying to fight against those. And there's different objectives, and you level up. And then as you level up, you can call in weapons, mechs, and so on. So it's just really fun. It's a top-down shooter. Check it out. I think it's about $20, worth your while. My second game is a game that I really stumbled upon. It was on PS Plus really early on, and really liked the game. It was a game called Counter Spy, and it's a game, like, I was playing Bloodborne, I think, at the time, and I needed something drastically different, and so I started playing Counter Spy on my Vita, and actually went through it and beat it, and was a big fan of this game. And so I just really want to talk about Counter Spy. Counter Spy is a spy game that you go around, and it's it starts off as like a third-person game. You're using this guy, you can take out people, and then you can hide around things, and you can kind of shoot them. And so you have like different weapons, anywhere from like really like guns that put you to sleep to like RPGs. And so it's a fairly easy game. I think there's like 5 or 10, I think there's like 10 or so levels. Extremely fun if you want a really nice stealth game. And honestly, I really don't like stealth games as much, although ironically 2 stealth games will probably be on my list. But it's definitely well worth checking, especially if you want to change its pace. I think you can get it for like $15 as well. Really pretty game. Definitely check it out. My third game is this game called Monster Bag. And this was another PS Plus game that I picked up. Randomly decided I wanted to play it. Monster Bag is this really cool game. I think it's pretty much on the Vita, if I'm not mistaken. The other 2 games you can pretty much play, I believe, on both the PS4 and also the Vita, which is kind of cool. All 3 of these games you can pick up via Vita if you want to do that. I've heard Helldivers is well worth it. But Monster Bag, back to Monster Bag. Monster Bag is this really pretty game. It reminds me of like Foster Home for the People, like that, that Cartoon Network TV show. And it's basically you play as this bag, and you're trying to catch up to your owner, and you go through these different puzzles, and so you're like going through, slinging through different things. And it's a great little story. The mechanics for the game is pretty easy, real simple, really likable. You'll definitely like the game. Another really easy game to beat. I beat 2 or 3 of these games. I did not beat Helldivers. Helldivers actually kind of waned on me, but those games, both those 2 games, the final 2 games, can take you about 5 to 10 hours. Solid games. And so I pretty much think there's 5 main games in this AAA category. And so in no particular order, we see Dying Light, we see Bloodborne, we see Witcher, we see Batman, the Batman game, and we see Metal Gear Solid 5. And so those 5 games are what I consider right now in that fight to win #1 spot of Game of the Year. And I think right now I want to go down and say there's 3 games. I want to not talk about 2 of those games, Batman and Dying Light. I've not played Dying Light, so I do not know much about Dying Light, so I cannot talk about it, although I hear really good reports about that. And I think it could be a creeper winner. I think Batman's a good game, but it's not, like, it has a great open world. It doesn't do it all. I don't think it goes to that next level that we suspect this year. But I think there's 3 really good games that do. I think it's pretty much somewhat a tie between Witcher and Bloodborne. I think I would almost give the edge to Bloodborne in regards. I think Bloodborne has a better. I just felt there was a better, like, the town you were in was just a better environment than Witcher. Like, the Witcher's environment is vast. Like, you can see on and on and on. There's multiple towns, so forth. But I didn't feel involved in that game. Versus in Bloodborne, I did. Like, I felt like I understand kind of the story and where it was going, and still not really sure, where it was headed. Like, you're trying to save this town by midnight, etc. But both did a really good job at kind of giving this really open world. Both were really, like, in a sense, really hard games. They both challenged you to the max. Like, there was certain parts of Witcher where it was hard. Like, you go on to those bounty type missions where you're trying to fight these different monsters. There's times you just walked in blind and it was terribly tough. But in Bloodborne, you die a billion times. That's just part of it. That's Dark Souls in general. And then that's what really happened to me. And actually, that was the deterrent for me, actually, when I really kind of stopped playing Bloodborne. But I really like those games, and I think those games are kind of the clear #2 and 3. But the #1, honestly, it's without distance, with great distance. It's Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 is just a masterclass of a game. Like, right now, I've heard, like, in the beginning, you kind of heard that the story was just not what you would think of a Metal Gear Solid 5 game. Metal Gear Solid game, and I think I do hold that that's probably very true, but I think Metal Gear Solid 5 brings an adequate and good enough story that's very rich, at least as much rich as The Witcher, and it definitely as much as Bloodborne. But I think where it just beats everything to the pulp is the gameplay. The gameplay is fantastic. And it's whether it's you being on your mother base and kind of customizing and adding pieces and adding different things, to going out to the battlefield and being around those environments. So, like, the environments of, like, Afghanistan and Africa, the Angola, Zaire. When I used to live overseas, I lived in Africa, I lived in Uganda, and it really reminded me of Africa during that time. Like, I could definitely rewind Uganda 10 or 15 years. I would say that's what I would have gotten in Metal Gear Solid 5 to a degree. They don't do big towns in that game, and which I would have loved to have seen, but that's kind of the problem. But I think they do a really good job in terms of that environment, including animals and stuff like that. You can capture There's just so many different ways, and what I love about this game is that you can approach the missions in so many different, ways. Whether it's killing these different guys, just straight up going and killing people, or taking down people. And toward the middle, like where I am right now, I feel like I'm just like a masterclass type killer. And so like it does a really awesome job at that. And I've been really impressed with it. Played a pretty good amount of time with all three of these games. I put my time in and became really impressed with those games. And I hope you enjoy those three games. Guys, what do you think about those games? How do you rank those 5 games? Do you see Metal Gear Solid 5 as the clear winner, or do you see it somewhere different? Just kind of give me your opinion, and what do you think about that? And then I honestly will think Fallout 4 will win this at the end. What do you think about Fallout 4 and where it stands? I honestly think it will be the game of the year, but we'll see. It's still young. There's still many other games to play. And thank you for listening to this video. I hope you like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and thank you.